Although it's in pink, it's now a public. It's a technically a white paper anyway. Okay, and who's going to take us through, Claire?
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, members. This paper sets out the recommendations for place-based investment in 23-24, which is year 3. In terms of the background set out at paragraphs 3 to 8, this is the third year of Scottish Government's 5-year programme, and in East Ayrshire we continue to be focused on investing in community-led projects that enable local communities and businesses to identify the things that matter to them and to deliver projects that make a positive difference to our towns and villages. The paper confirms that only capital costs are eligible and articulates a number of programme conditions, including that, as a minimum, contracts must be signed by the 31st of March each year. Cabinet's approved a series of place-based investment reports since the programme's inception, most recently in April when members approved how this year should be managed and the methodology to invest the £792,000 that is available. I'd also highlight at paragraph 8, which details Cabinet's approval last month to fold in over £29,000 of unallocated historical developer contributions monies into our community-led place-based investment. Paragraphs 9 to 24 set out how the programme has been managed this year. And first, members, I would note my thanks for the opportunity to engage with you on the detail of this before coming to Chamber today, and for the oversight and challenge that you're continuing to provide as we seek to continuously learn and improve. Key points to note are our improvement aims for year 3 at paragraph 9 and the steps that have been taken towards them. As a council, we wanted to provide maximum time for successful groups to put their contracts in place to minimise the risk of returning monies to Scottish Government, and we have indeed brought these recommendations forward in advance of the summer recess to give that extra 2 months to project groups. We wanted to continue to ensure equity of access to the fund across East Ayrshire's towns and villages, and within this target promotion in areas where there has been less engagement to date. And through my service and the Vibrant Communities team, we've run a series of online information sessions, promoted the opportunity across our digital and social media channels, and focused our in-person and one-to-one support in those target areas. We wanted to develop how the programme supports community wealth building and have signposted all prospective applicants to locally trusted traders. And we've also been engaging with these traders to raise their awareness of place-based project opportunities and indeed funding streams that are of interest to them as businesses. At paragraph 14, the paper confirms that we received 42 applications with a total funding request of £2,049,799, which means the ask is again significantly in excess of our available allocation. And that while disappointment is inevitable for some applicants, we're continuing to work jointly across council services to provide support outside the place-based investment, because we do continue to recognise the importance of our community's appetite to do this work. We gained really valuable learning described in paragraphs 16, including groups directly referring to how they have used the share the love principle, either by prioritising key phases of larger projects or by choosing to step back from applying to help spread the impact of place-based funding across as many projects as possible, which is clearly very positive in terms of Cabinet's strategic intent in removing the financial thresholds. Paragraphs 20 to 24 set out the assessment process, and for your assurance, members, we have continued that robust approach established last year to first evaluate each application's merits against the suite of programme criteria, and then prioritise applications to come within the fund limits. And following the ask by yourselves, we have built the community's voice into that process. At paragraph 21, the report sets out how the panel of local residents who each have experience of delivering these types of projects contributed to the recommendations before you today, and indeed the report contains some of their views on that experience. And members, for your assurance, robust arrangements were again in place to manage that community panel, including in terms of confidentiality, to allow really robust discussions in the room, and also to manage any conflict of interest in terms of those community members and applicant projects. Members, the first recommendation within the paper, which I'll clearly go back to at the end, is to remit thanking these individuals for their contribution to officers, and I would like to offer my personal thanks to them now. Paragraphs 25 to 28 and Appendix 1 set out the projects being recommended for investment. 23 are being recommended in line with Cabinet's Year 3 strategic intent, in as much as over half are for new groups. 19 of those recommended are to be fully funded from place-based investment, and a further 3 will have their financial ask fully met by matching in developer contribution monies. The summary analysis is set out in the tables at paragraph 27, and the detail of that matching is contained within the appendix. Improvement going forward will continue to be about finding ways to support groups assessed as not investment ready. And through my service, we will also have a focus on shaping and informing the national evaluation of place-based investment. We'll be hosting a session with community-based groups and the National Improvement Service next week in East Ayrshire to talk about the impact our approach is having locally, and it would be my intention to bring this learning forward in future reports for members' consideration in setting the strategic intent for Year 4. Members, the implications are described through paragraphs 34 to 41, principally the contribution of the recommended investment to delivering on the Council's strategic priorities, and in terms of financial implications, retaining £16,700 of the fund for contingencies across all projects, as was the case last year, and a total direct financial investment of just shy of £770,000 in community-led regeneration of our local towns and villages. The recommendations are at paragraph 2. Thank you, Chair, and I'm happy to take questions.
Thanks very much, Claire. Good report. I know there's quite a considerable amount of work goes into this. You know, just, and we can never please everybody, but all we can try and do is be fair and just make sure that there's a, I think what we've tried to achieve is that some areas in some wards and some communities that didn't seem to have the same access, I've got a wee bit more share of the cake, so to speak, and that's been great. Great to see that we've attracted the interest in the improvement service in paragraph 30 that will have kind of some scrutiny, and I think, this shows the value, of some of the work we're doing. There's a number of these projects to help to sustain some of the community asset transfers that we've had, and this funding is really quite essential to keep some of these projects and others going. There's just never enough of it, and it's really, really important that we really empower our communities. So there's a lot in here, members. I'm sure all of your favourite projects and other ones that you like to see that attracted some funding here. I'll just open up to everybody if you want any comments. Drew, Maureen.
Thanks, Chair. Just feel supportive of the paper as well. So to thank Blair, Claire and Sharon and the full team there, because a lot of work's been into this. And especially, as you said there, Chair, identifying cold spot areas. We've never had much funding before, and they're coming forward as well. So we're sharing that right through the community, right through the authority, basically. Yeah, so that's really good work. Well done.
Thanks, Drew. Maureen.
Thanks very much, and thank you to Claire and Sharon for giving us the opportunity to meet with you, and again, really, I suppose, to expand that up and to acknowledge the learning approach that you've taken all of the way through in relation to trying to do this and to do it better each year. And I think, you know, we have seen that. I know that I've had sight of some very good pie chart information from you in terms of how you actually went out to target different groups within the community and what the result of that was. I certainly, the day that I saw that, found that very helpful. And I suppose if I have any comment to make, it's a shame that it's actually not on the paper, because I think that actually is quite a helpful thing for members to see visually, and the public to also be able to access visually in terms of the work that has been done and what it translated to in terms of results. I think that it does a better job of that sometimes than words do. So that's a real positive. Again, because we're in a learning set of circumstances, one of the questions that I would ask for, because we are looking to build on this going through, is at Appendix 2, where it is saying that the group will liaise to support and seek alternative funding. One of the feedbacks that I have got is that people would like to have seen just in some way a description of what the project was actually about, and perhaps a sense of, had they been close, was it, you know, which of the criteria, which we've always got to have criteria, which of the criteria were their weak spot. I think that maybe would have been a help, just again, looking at that overall. So if we could have that, or even retrospectively, if elected members could have access to some of that information, that would be a help. And I know, Claire, last year the idea of sort of community scoring came out of some sharing that we did with you in terms of what, you know, my past regeneration experience had been. And again, I'm very happy that when you've talked about it, you've talked about the manner in which that was done. So in exactly the same way as elected members would have declarations of interest, that was done and people withdrew themselves from consideration, and I understand withdrew themselves from the room in exactly the same way elected members would be. So that's encouraging. And equally, I've been given the list of who the members of the community were from Claire, and what I would want to say was the spread of experience that there is, not only in relation to regeneration projects, but I know some of the names on the list quite well, and know that there is also significant business experience, and that, you know, particularly the area of business that one of the individuals I know is involved with can do nothing but other than be assistance. And again, sharing and them having access to being aware about the number of community projects that are happening, you know, that have requirement for all sorts of supplies and activities, you know, I think is a really positive thing if we get more and more businesses and business owners actually knowing what the level of activity is across our community groups in East Ayrshire, because increasingly at this time when we've got real economic problems, actually, you know, making sure that we invest and we see building happening is really important, because that sustains jobs within East Ayrshire. Really positive stuff here. And finally, I think I have to say, because I made comment last year, I have added up the wards, and I do see every single ward, and that would include Ward 2, actually do this time get some funding. So thank you. Just luck, I know.
Thanks, Maureen. And Ward 3, and there's Clare Points and 5, and it said. But no, there's some really great projects, you know, and just I was looking at some of the detail there in the Knockinlaw Community Garden. So, you know, that's them getting their water supply. They've been able to have such a colourful corner of Ardbeg Avenue, without a water supply. So goodness knows what they'll be able to do with a water supply.
You
Morning.
mean we at least put to bed the mistakes of that BBC programme, I think, that came to East Ayrshire at long last. It is horrendous, though, when you see what the cost of that mistake actually is.
Well, I'm sure the press will know that Beachgrove Garden did a community garden with a water supply, but that's now been thankfully amended thanks to thanks to this process. But some great plans there right across all our communities. We'll look forward to seeing coming up in the weeks and months to come. Okay, members, any other comments? Okay, can we agree the recommendations? I now move the exclusion of press and public.
Thanks, Chair, and can I ask IT colleagues